Before we get into regular business, we wanted to go over the 2023 police study that was done. I don't know if we have to pull anything up, Brad.
Yeah, we can do that.
Chief Mettin is here, and your name?
Fred Chapman.
All right, thanks, gentlemen, from DCED. So, thank you both for coming. Again, this was voted on by council, I forget which month in 2023, but a study was conducted to do a comparison as far as state police versus regionalized or our own borough police department. So the study was conducted, multiple interviews and information, which the gentlemen are going to go over. And nothing's going to be voted on today, all right? This is here to listen to recommendations and thoughts and concerns and all those kinds of things and the findings of the study. And I'm guessing that the public and council can ask questions throughout the process or at the end, however you prefer.
Everyone.
Okay, so without anything else, we'll turn the floor over to you. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I apologize, I'm back turned. My name again is Fred Chapman, and I'm with the State Department of Community and Economic Development, a small office called the Center for Local Government Services. And we offer training, tools and resources for training, education, and technical assistance there in our office. So I thank you, Bath Borough, for reaching out to us and requesting technical assistance in the area of emergency services. And I am a local government policy specialist, and I support the local government services program. And a police management study was performed and was presented here. And so we're grateful for you welcoming us back so that we can present again to you. And we want you to know after our Chief Mettin here is finished, please feel free to reach out to us at any time. Again, my name is Fred Chapman, and please research our website if you don't know much about DCED, dced.pa.gov. And even after the recommendations are presented to you, again, if you have questions later on that may pop into your head, please feel free to reach out to us. I'm not the professional. We have here a professional, Chief David Mettin. I'm going to tell you a little bit about him. Chief David Mettin is the Chief of Police for the Plumstead Township Police Department in Bucks County and has over 30 years in law enforcement. He started his career as a police officer in Doylestown Township and moved on to Penridge Regional Police Department as Chief of Police. During his time at Penridge, he provided proactive and professional police services, worked cohesively with township administration, elected officials, and police commissioners. He then accepted the position as Chief of Police with Slate Belt Regional Police Department until February 2020. Chief Mettin here has a BA in Criminal Justice from Temple University and an MS in Public Safety Administration from St. Joseph University, and attended the FBI National Academy in 2003. I'm sorry, in the 203rd session. Chief Mettin has served as the president of the Bucks County Chiefs of Police Association, president of the Southeast Pennsylvania Chiefs of Police Association, and has been executive board member of the Pennsylvania Chiefs of Police Association. Chief Mettin here works with us here at DCED and have performed many studies for our department, and we stand behind his work, and we really are grateful to have him a part of our State Department. And so now I introduce to you and present to others, Chief Mettin.
Thanks, Fred. Thanks for the kind words. I appreciate it. Yeah, so real briefly, 37 years of police experience, 22 of those as Chief of Police. So I started when I was about 6. Yeah, and I've been with DCED now for about 7 years. This is 20 plus studies I've done with DCED, and all of them are, come with a presentation such as this for any community that wants it. So again, the study, we began this in 2023, or I guess early 2023, mid 2023. And we wanted to look at the current police service that the borough has now, what we had before, and looking to the future is what's the best direction to go in for the borough. I looked at the state police statistics that were readily available online. I also looked at the statistics from the Colonial Regional Police Department. That was from 1995 to 2018. That's when the borough was with them. I compared those statistics, I reported all in a study, and the study is about 51 pages, give or take. So it is a pretty lengthy and pretty comprehensive study. There's more in there than what we're gonna see tonight. I then looked at three options, whether we want to stay or whether you want to stay with the Pennsylvania State Police. Do you want to join a regional police department with another policing agency or another municipality? Or is the possibility of a standalone police department in your future? We also utilized a survey monkey to grab opinions of the community, and Brad, thanks for doing that, because I'd still be trying to figure that out. So that's about it. Okay, so to start off, I'm going to give you basically the nuts and bolts of the presentation. And if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand, scream them out, or wait till the end, whatever you want to do. I'm pretty flexible anyway. So I looked at the borough, and typically you don't see municipalities with only 2,800 residents, low road miles, low population, have their own police department. It's very hard to sustain a police department when you don't have a lot of revenue coming in. The revenues at the time of the study was about $1.5 million being spent. Not too much in reserves. I believe we talked about having $440,000 in reserves, and that's a pretty key number when you look at the price of policing moving forward. You recently concluded a short and long range planning study where you looked at the future, what are the benefits, or what are the opportunities coming out, what are the strengths, what are the weaknesses of our borough. One thing I noticed is a lack of, that was listed in the study, was a lack of volunteer fire department volunteerism. I think that was pretty big, and we kind of want to look at that because we all need fire departments. And you keep that on your radar. Let me see, the lack of development, that you're pretty much built out, and what that means is you're not going to get a lot of revenue from building, but then you're not going to have any more demands for service because you're building out more. So you have good and bad that comes with that. Some of the positive trends and negative trends were the police and community relations. The Pennsylvania State Police, they provide police service for you for free, but there was community concern because they're not visible to the community enough. So that kind of hit on both sides there. Looking at the state police, some of their statistics. You've been with the state police since 2018, so I looked at 2018 all the way through 2023. Current coverage, as I said, is free by the state police. You're patrolled by Troop M. They're an excellent agency. They're accredited, but I believe the barracks is 7 miles away. So for a resident to go lodge a complaint with the borough or with the police department, you have to drive 7 miles. Is that bad? Well, if you have a car, it's not bad. But if you don't have a car and you rely on public transportation, then it is an issue. I looked at the calls for service, and that's those bottom numbers, 2020, 2021, and 2022. Those are the number of calls that the Pennsylvania State Police listed on their website, how many times they come out and answer calls for service for you. We use the International Association of Chiefs of Police study and formula to figure out how many calls for service really a town should have or a borough should have. And we look at a number of 0.55 calls for service for every resident in your community. Right? So if you have 1,000 residents, you're going to have 550 calls for service. If you have 2,000, it's 1,100, right? So if you see you're at 2,800, 2,900 residents, those calls for service are a little bit low. So then you ask yourself, why is that? Are the residents not calling as much as they should or as much as they could, or is it the state police not writing up those calls for service? I guarantee they come when you call them for 911, but it could also be they're not handling the borough ordinances, they're not handling the parking complaints, they're not handling those small other things that probably come to the borough. So that's one of the reasons why I'm kind of thinking those numbers are a little bit lower. Any questions on that so far? Criminal investigations. They do a really great job at the number of crimes that they investigate and the number of people that they arrest, right? So if you look at those totals right there, if you look at the arrests from PSP or the Pennsylvania State Police and you compare that to Northampton County as a whole, you can see those numbers are quite good. So the calls that they go out on and investigate, the crimes that they go investigate, they actually make those arrests when needed. So that's a good thing. So that service is there for you. Traffic enforcement, this is where I think the residents probably don't like not having that traffic enforcement. Somebody sped down my roadway, where are the police, right? They're never around when I need them. We hear that in municipal policing all the time, right? Where are the police when you need them? So I looked at the citations and warnings, and again, this is public information from their website. I don't know if you can see that. I probably should make the font a little bit bigger so Fred, don't fire me because my font's too small. In 2022, that was the last full year that I had data from. They wrote 82 traffic citations and 29 traffic warnings in the borough. So they're making one traffic stop every 3 days, right? So could they do more? Sure they could. As I said, they're an accredited agency. Pennsylvania Police, State Police, I don't believe are built for borough policing, right? That's not what they do, but they're good at doing pretty much everything. I think if you had a talk with them and said, listen, can we get a little more presence? I'm sure they would be a little more amenable to do that. All right, that validated some of the concerns that we saw on the Survey Monkey too. The other thing too, I think you have to look at is I believe the borough does an excellent job with code enforcement and parking, right? You started the parking enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
So I think those citations that were written, and if you look at the Colonial Regional, their parking or their traffic citations are up here, but it's probably because they're not getting called out for those borough violations or the parking violations. And I think those numbers, I think you tend to see that there. Colonial Regional Police Department, you were with them from 1995 to 2018. 2017, I believe, was your last full year. And if you remember that $440,000 in reserve, if you look at the 2017 cost, it was $413,546. So we would be able to do just about a year of regional police service. You had 12% of the total cost and you had 13.1% of the patrol time. And again, that was through public information through Colonial Regional's website. Traffic enforcement and calls for service. Bath Borough, I compared Bath Borough, Hanover Township, and Lower Nazareth Township, and that just kind of gives you the totals. It's hard to see up there. If you look on the report itself, it's a lot easier to see. But the average 5-year incidence is 1,400 incidents per year. Compare that to the state police that were between 700 and 800. Colonial Regional was responding to almost double the amount of calls for service that you had with the state police. All right, these are the crimes and how many people get arrested. Very similar to Pennsylvania State Police. Okay, and again, in the study, you can see all this there, but it's very similar to the state police. So it's not like you're getting better or worse arrest service. Somebody commits a crime, they're just as good as state police, and state police were just as good as Colonial Regional. So they were both doing a good job.
I just want to do a little side note.
Sure.
The study is public information, so we have copies in the office, so if anybody wants just online too. And it's online.
We're sitting.
So a little bit easier to see is basically a pie chart. Average incidents, the green is Colonial Regional, the blue is Pennsylvania State Police. And so out of say 100%, you can see the differences there. Average arrest, pretty similar. And to be quite honest with you, the arrests now, the crime rate is going down over the last several years. We're kind of getting back into the pre-COVID, crime. It's kind of leveling out. So, if you look at that and you look at the number of arrests made by the state police, there's too many factors that go into the arrest rate. We really can't say definitively why it's going up and down. But if you look at that, it's pretty similar. Traffic enforcement, that's the big thing. 83% versus 17%. 83% of that pie is Colonial Regional, 17% is the state police. And then again, the criminal investigations all total, 71% is Colonial Regional, but again, we can't say why. Questions on that? Go ahead.
Is it really going down, the crime rate going down, or is it?
No, I just checked before I
not
left.
going anymore?
No, I just checked before I left. Yeah, so the Department of Justice, as of 2022, it's been going down, yeah. Yeah,
Where?
all over, this was Pennsylvania.
Just Pennsylvania?
Yeah, this was Pennsylvania, yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know.
Property crime started going up, but then there's pockets, it all depends on really where you live. You know, Philadelphia with the carjackings, that raises your property crime up. So it all depends. Yeah, it's very localized, sure.
Yeah, just a question on the traffic enforcement pie chart you have there.
Mhm.
You're comparing regional police against state.
Yeah,
Are you saying that that's current?
that was, no, so that was when we had Colonial Regional versus when you had the state police, yeah.
So,
Yeah, so I couldn't do it current because they don't patrol here.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so moving forward, I looked at what do we do? I looked at all the data, but then I also looked at the Survey Monkey. What do the citizens want, right? And I get it. The great thing about the DCED study is I don't get paid by, I don't have a dog in this fight, right? So I kind of look at my history, I look at the history of the borough and go, okay, what if it was me, what would I want to see? So I did three things: remain with the state police for police service, create a standalone municipal police department, which is very expensive, as you know, or contract service or regionalize with another municipality or another police department. All right, so you can do one of basically three things, and they all come with positives and negatives. So if you go with the state police, what happens? Well, it's the fastest, easiest, there's a continuity of service. It's the least costly of all options, but the state police always, and the state government always comes up with, hey, let's start charging for state police. Well, they haven't done it, and they haven't done it yet, and it would be cheaper than starting your own police department, and it would be cheaper than a regional police department, even though there would be possible fees there. The concern from residents right now is the lack of visibility or enforcement with the state police, and again, I think that might be a conversation you can have with them. They do have a decreased level of incidents, traffic enforcement, and criminal investigations, but again, there are certain other reasons for that. It's not because they're not doing their job. You can regionalize with a local municipality or the Colonial Regional Police Department. That could give you a possible increased coverage. With the Survey Monkey, everybody was pleased with their service, but there is an immediate cost, and you don't have the finances for that. There's $440,000 in your account. I would say too, if you start a standalone police department, very expensive. Policing is expensive. We don't make money. We are very expensive. So you figure $100,000 for every police officer that you have on the force. And you have, and for 24-hour service, you would need a minimum of 5 officers, 5 full-time officers. So think of $500,000 plus startup costs to start your own police department.
Chief Ben, the $100,000, is that just labor costs, you know, about
The 100,000?
Yeah, or does that also include vehicles? and-
Yeah, you know what, but that's after you start, right? So it's you.
So there'd be some costs, upfront.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, uniforms, insurance, cars, building, you know, where do you put them?
Yeah.
Training, hiring.
So safe to say that $100,000, labor, you know, benefits, so forth, okay?
Mhm. Yeah,
Right.
so, and that depends if you get, you know, then if you get 5 officers, there's a union contract that you're gonna need to do. You gotta go through civil service being a borough with more than 3 officers. So there's a lot of moving parts there, and those moving parts are very expensive.
Chief, as you're doing these studies, have you noticed increase in municipalities that are going with state police, or, I know everybody's situation is different, but.
Yeah, it is. I think through DCED, we're seeing a lot more regionalization of boroughs. I have one now in Luzerne County, 2 small boroughs, pretty much the same, you know, population as you have here, going together, that we're working through now. Yeah, so they have their own police department though, so it's not like they don't have anything, but they have their own standalone department now. But we're seeing a lot more regionalization, I think, than we are disbanding of departments. Yeah.
Mostly due to cost, basically, right?
I'm sorry?
Cost and expense is what's
Yeah.
driving it.
Yeah.
The 2 boroughs that have joined, what is their How many police officers do they have, do you know?
All total, I think they're at 10, but I think that the issue with them, I think they had like one officer work part-time here, that officer worked part-time at the other borough, so we're kind of working through all that logistically. That's an operational thing that they're gonna have to figure out. But they're gonna need 10 officers, right off the bat.
They're 24/7?
Yes,
No relying on state police overnight or anything?
no. Mm.
Not to jump ahead if you have details in your presentation, but a borough our size, what would be the recommended amount of police?
Yeah, so anytime, no matter how many residents you have, the rule of thumb is you need 5 full-time officers to run a 24-hour police department. Because they work 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. They have, they get time off, they have to go to training, they get sick. So, and that would give you 1 officer all the time, and every once in a while you would have 2. So, and even then, the smaller departments now, what we're finding is they're just not able to do what's expected of them in policing. There's just not enough. If 1 officer out there is really not the way to go. Yeah.
And with that minimum force of 5 full-time officers, how many vehicles are you looking at? 2, 3, 4?
Yeah, you would probably need 2 to 3, 2 to 3 at least. Yeah, because if a car breaks down and you only have 2, then you only have 1. And that car now is driven 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Yeah, so 3.
Office staff to man the police department with 5 officers?
Yeah, you would need a full-time or at least a part-time police clerk to answer the phones while the officer's out on the road. See, that's what you want. You want that officer out on the road, engaging with the public, interacting with the public, solving crime, doing investigations. You don't want them back at headquarters answering the phone, because then they're just a very expensive police clerk.
In regards to investigations, since it would be a small municipality police department, investigations would have to be farmed out to state police or anything like that?
No, I would have them do it. If it was me as the chief of police, I would have somebody in-house do that, one of the patrol officers. Yeah, you don't want to start farming things out because you'll lose the continuity of that investigation. You don't want to do that. I mean, a homicide, sure, because you wouldn't have the resources for that.
Mhm.
A burglary, you should be able to handle. So. Any other questions? We go through. So my recommendation after taking everything as a whole is to continue to utilize the state police, right? They're a great organization. I would address some of the concerns that the residents have. I would speak to the station commander, and I think they just left and a new one came in.
Yes.
So you can start fresh. If you want to go with your own police department or you want to regionalize, I would plan ahead, plan now, say, okay, in 5 years, in 10 years, we want to be here. Financially, what do we have to do to get to this end point? But you're not there yet. Yeah.
When you have municipalities that want to do that, like you said, looking forward, they're doing just that, like putting money off to the side and savings to be prepared for.
Yeah, nobody goes into this broke.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you really have to, yeah.
So if we woke up tomorrow and said we want our own police department, we're years away from that
Financially, yes. Yeah, I mean, you could start a year, but you don't have the money to start a year. I mean, gentleman came up talking about the park system. You have to remember, there's only 1 bucket of money out there that you have to supply that bucket of money, the contents of that to the rest of the municipality and not just the police department. So you already have police service, think about the entire borough. It's always my thing. It seems odd coming from a chief of police, like, hey, let's, no, you don't need cops, but So that's my recommendation. That's the recommendation that's found in the study, is to stay with the state police for right now. Address it with them. It's how can we improve, how can they improve service to you? How can they be more responsive to the residents? Make sure the residents call for service. If there's something that they need, make sure they call. Don't just push it off, because when you do that, then you get those, lower numbers that if the state police isn't getting a call, they're not gonna come drive through the town, right? They'll go someplace where they're needed, right? Driving through a place where you don't get a police call is counterintuitive to policing. So, you wanna keep them engaged. So that's the recommendation I made. in the report, and, yeah.
So Chief, as council digests this and the general public going forward, if we have questions or in a future meeting, we're discussing something that leads to a question with this, since you're more familiar with all the information, we can reach out to you. I'm not saying if they come here, but email or things of that nature.
Yeah, I'm always available, and working with DCED is great. Brad, I know you have my number, my email address, and I'm always willing to answer a call or a question. Yeah. That's it, unless there's other questions.
Questions from the public?
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for the
Thank you.
opportunity.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes,
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, again, if I may say that if you did so choose to pursue regionalization, DCD will be there. We will be there to help you with the process. And perhaps there may be also some grant funding on behalf of DCD, but we will help you and assist you. We won't just drop you after the study. If you want us to come back, we're willing to come back and then, again, help you throughout the process.
I
So I just want you to know.
Appreciate that, man.
So absolutely.
thank you.
And kind of add on to that, DCED and the consultants that we have are very good with the regionalization. If it's not gonna work, we're not gonna tell you it's gonna work. If it's financially not sound, we're not gonna tell you it's financially not sound. Again, we don't have a dog in this fight. We just wanna do what's best for the municipality, and we've done them all across the state right now. Completed these regionalization studies.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, gentlemen.
You're welcome.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
You're welcome.